Okay, thank you. Welcome everyone to Inlet United Church at the Springs. We are just absolutely thrilled and delighted to have you all here tonight. Thank you so much for coming. We're so grateful. I'm Sue McIntyre. I am a member here at Inlet United Church, and I'm the leader of the small group ministry team that we call ourselves the Springs Art Wall Inlet Connects group. And our underlying purpose is to offer opportunities for community connection in a town that's changing so fast that people can just feel disconnected from one another and certainly not connected to place or to very many other people. So that's basically our purpose for all the work that we're doing. And we're thrilled that one of our big connecting projects, the Art Wall, is happening this summer. So before we start with our program tonight, I want to welcome our minister from Inlet United, Jen Swanson, to do the Territorial acknowledgement.
Thank you, Sue. We acknowledge that we gather today on the ancestral, unceded, and unrelinquished homelands of the Coquitlam, Tsleil-Waututh, Musqueam, Squamish, Katzie, Kwantlen, Kakite, and Stolo peoples. And we offer our gratitude and our appreciation for the opportunity to work and worship on this territory. We are grateful to these Coast Salish nations for their stewardship over generations and to this day of this land and water and air that we all rely on. And we acknowledge with humility and gratitude their generosity of spirit in sharing their knowledge and teachings. May we strive always to live with respect in creation and in harmony with all our relations, our neighbors, and our earthly family. May it be so. Amen.
Thank you so much, Jen. So tonight's program probably won't go all the way till 8:30. So we'll be out of here where there's still a beautiful blue sky. In a minute, I'll introduce our artist, and she will give a short talk with some images about art. But before I do that, I want to express gratitude to our supporters in this project. Okay, I'm going to read them. It's been tremendous. We would like to give thanks to these organizations that have helped to sponsor the Art Wall. The Hamber Foundation, Kinsight, Pacific Coast Terminals, Port Moody Foundation, Rocky Point Ice Cream, Rotary Club of Port Moody, Royal Canadian Legion Port Moody Branch 119, and the Provision Fund of the Pacific Mountain Region of the United Church. Thank you so much for the support that you've given to make this project possible. And I know we've got people from our organizations present tonight, and we're grateful also for your presence and participation. So the plan for tonight is to have an artist talk and then a chance to ask some questions and have some conversation. We've got food in the back, so we'll stick around and we can visit until you're done visiting. And we will stay till the last visitor finishes visiting. Should you need them, the bathrooms are just out the back door, just past the kitchen. And in the unlikely event of an emergency, we would exit through those doors there and these doors here and muster out on the road and get out of the way of whoever's coming to help. So that's the plan. All right. It brings me enormous pleasure to introduce our artist on this project. And when I asked Atheana how she wanted me to introduce her, she said, just call me up and I will introduce myself. So I would like to welcome up for tonight's program and to our wonderful project, our artist, Atheana Picha. Please give her a round.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for your time today. I know you all lead very, very busy lives, and I appreciate you making time and welcoming me into your space here. My name's Nashmeen Tanat. That was given to me by Jerry Ullman of the Statmec Nation. That means a go-getter woman. And my English name is Atheana Picha. My dad is Czechoslovakian and Irish, and my mom is Indigenous Fijian and Kwantlen. And her mom is, this is very intense lighting. Her mom is Hannah Gabriel, and she was actually born in Sartlip or Brentwood Bay on Vancouver Island. Actually, okay, total sidebar, but I have an ancestor, Mary Starr, 5 generations back, that's from Bella Coola. Yeah, I don't know, I've just been thinking about her lately. Anyways, I'm an artist. I do lots of different types of work. I've been formally learning wood carving and silver engraving from Aaron Nelson Moody from the Squamish Nation. And I've been working with his mentor, Halacton, as well, just a little bit, once or twice a year, but we still keep in contact pretty regularly. And I've been learning wool weaving from Deborah Sparrow from the Musqueam Nation for, I guess, 3 years now. And I've also been working with many different elders throughout the Salish Territory and hanging out in New Toronto Territory a lot lately too. Um, I'm really honored to be invited here today and for this project. I'm really looking forward to bringing the vision that everybody here um, can feel and see with what their feelings to connection are and welcoming. It's really important for me to share this gift. That's what my elders are reminding me is they always say, don't be stingy with your artwork. And so that's why I like doing public artwork and working with people and working with schools and other institutions, because it's an opportunity for everybody to learn and for opportunities to find cultural exchange as well. In our last meeting, Sue was sharing with me that her mother was a weaver and spun wool, and that's just another connection that brings us together. And it's always beautiful learning about families' ties to these different mediums, because they're things we find all around the world. And that's what Deborah's been reminding me as well. You know, there's 3 stitches, but you find them everywhere. And that's what connects us to everything that we do. And so I wanted to share a little bit about my artwork, but the slideshow I had wasn't sending via email. And then we tried a couple other ways and it wasn't really working. So we're just going to wing it today. But we have a great tech ministry. So I'm looking forward to how this rolls out. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about my weaving right now, because it's something that I had breakfast with one of my elders today, and he was talking a lot about weaving and how it's the foundation of everything we do. And so that's what Deborah's been telling me over the years as well. And so my weavings lately have been just something that I've been learning to listen to my intuition more now than ever, just really focusing on it. And so the last few blankets that I've made have been for mainly youth and commissions. And so the last red blanket there was a commission by a friend of mine who's not Salish, but she's graduating from UBC and doesn't have any regalia. And so it's also an example of how I've been using my work lately to bridge different communities in different ways. She's Kwakwaka'wakw from Cape Mudge, and so they're not weaving or wool weaving people, but they have a history of button blankets in their regalia, and I thought it was a great opportunity to see what a Salishified button blanket would look like. And yeah, so that's a little bit about my weaving. Deborah Sparrow's been weaving for 35 years and has been she sort of adopted me actually. And we've been working together on mural projects as well. And I've been doing murals since 2017, if you want to really count back. I did my first one in high school. I don't think I have a picture of it, and I don't think I want to put a picture of it on my website. I learned a lot on it. But since then, I've been working on really working with groups and doing my best to bring that vision to life through a Coast Salish lens and through my lens particularly. So I don't know if I think they're on my website. I'm not super updated. I did a big mural on Commercial Drive that isn't up yet, but something that we wanted to talk about with that mural was connection to chosen family, which I thought was really important. It was sort of an overarching theme that came up several times, and it was really amazing to see how the community responded to it. Lots of people were walking by and supporting the project, and it was really beautiful to see all the little kids that liked it, because you know they will tell you if they don't like something. And so that's what I've been working with mainly with my public artwork and vinyl installations as well. But I love doing murals because they're also quite physical work too. And I've been working with Aaron Nelson Moody for about 5 years now. Many know him as Splash. And he's a wood carver, silver jeweler, does a lot of design work, and works in colleges and universities as well. And that's where I met him. I went to Langara for 3 years studying fine art. And I was still doing like this knockoff Northern style sort of situation, because there's a difference between Coast Salish art style and Northern art style. Northern stuff is like Haida or New Hulk or Tlingit or Simshan work. So some artists from there would be like Phil Janzi or Bill Reed. Neutronal stuff is sort of a weird blend between the two. And I think that's what I like so much about it. But anyways, and I've been really inspired by Coast Salish art, but mostly the old stuff. It has a certain magic about it that really draws me in, and that's what my mentors really respond to as well, and that's how they learned. And I started doing Coast Salish work when I started spending time with Splash. He encouraged me to spend a lot of time in museums and study up and keep drawing and tracing the old carvings. Just put a piece of paper over the glass, and whatever you do, it'll kind of render in a different way inherently. And that's been a really awesome journey for me, to be studying these old pieces and then bringing them back in my own way, responding to them. And what I like about working being primarily inspired by these old pieces is that my artwork is having a conversation with theirs, because I don't believe anything is in a bubble. We all kind of exist in this weird thing together. And I've been doing a lot of printmaking recently, and something that draws me to that medium in particular, especially with screen printing, is there was a big boom of screen printing in the 70s and 80s with the Northwest Coast artwork, because it was a way to translate our designs into a commercial market that allowed us to share our work in a way that was accessible, affordable. Collectors, whether you're like rich or poor, could afford to get into it. And it was also connecting to our history of sharing and potlatching and giving away. And potlatch means to give without like expecting anything back. And through screen printing, you could mass produce a handmade item and make it personal too. So there was a series of prints done by many artists, and they still do it now, where there'll be a big event like a memorial or a naming or a wedding or some ceremony, coming of age, where they'll have an artwork design, and that would be the giveaway for the piece. And for Tasha's potlatch not too long ago, that's something that I had the honor of being a part of by designing a poster for it. And then there's belongings like stickers and things that had the design on it that was reproduced and given away. And so I like to honor this history of potlatching in ways that I can. It's pretty expensive to potlatch, and you have to be really ambitious. It takes a lot of organizing and things, but seeing examples that Tasha's put together over the years, and other, especially women in my life that have organized these types of events, it's been pretty amazing to see how we can bring them into a contemporary light, and also to share these gifts too, because that's what it's all about at the end of the day. And so I really like doing my prints, because I'll be alone in my studio in the middle of the night printing like a maniac, and I'm thinking, oh, well, my prints are talking to Art Thompson, or my prints are talking to Joe David. And more importantly, my prints are talking to these artists when they were my age. So what was Art Thompson thinking when he was 23? What was Joe David thinking when he was 23, or Robert Davidson? And these artists, some of them are still alive now, but they're in a very different headspace than when they were just kind of figuring out the art form, figuring out their style, figuring out what it meant to be Indigenous in the world that they were living in at the time. Because something that's really grounding for most of the influences in my life is that like Deborah always says, her grandpa Ed said, know who you are, know where you come from. And I think that's important for everybody, because to know your history is really important. And when I was growing up, I kind of had a tough time because I knew I was Indigenous. I knew I was from Kwantlen, but I didn't really know what that meant in the bigger sense. And so the past probably 8 years, I've been researching through obituaries and messaging people on Instagram. Hey, I think I'm your cousin. Like, what family are you from? And then they'll tell me more information, and then meeting with people and reconnecting with family members, and these things that bring us together, and then really just spending time with my elders. I love it. I wouldn't do anything else. It's pretty exciting. And what I like about learning in this way, outside of an institution, is that I'm not just having conversations with my elder who's there, but I'm having conversations with their parents, their elders, their aunties, everybody before them. And it's pretty amazing to be having this conversation with like an unbroken chain of teachings and ancestors and things. And so that's what I really respond to. And I kind of nerd out with my elders about it because they love it too. And one of my elders, Uncle Shane in particular, he's always encouraging me to like honor this old perspective, but always keep bringing a fresh light to it, which I think is pretty awesome. He encourages me, okay, we'll use bright yellow or this weird funky color combination. And he brings a funness to it. And that's what I've noticed about all my teachers, is they all bring a special element to my life that always needs to be recognized. You know, you gotta work hard. That's a priority in my life, set by myself, but my elders are always reminding me, like, go have fun and go to the river and hang out. And yeah, it's good. So I thought I would talk about my art a little bit more, but that can be kind of boring. So I usually like do this whole like rant and then speed through all my art at the end. So I learned ceramics, some printmaking, and I don't know what else I learned in college. I did etching. I loved etching and ceramics. That's what I focused on in college. But the problem is that I didn't want to do things for grades, which led me to kind of just doing whatever I wanted. And so I really wanted to explore these forms. So I started making all these soft slab things, and they didn't always meet the criteria, but there were things that I wanted to make and I wanted to see. And my etching class was cut short by the pandemic, but that was really fun to do because you can work with light and shadow in a really unique way. And there's some things that I learned on my own, like mural painting. I sort of just jumped right into it. And screen printing, I did an online course and just ran with it full speed. It was intended to be an intro thing. And I said, okay, well, what about this ink versus this ink? And they were really surprised. They were like, we're not even talking about that yet. And I was like, well, what about ruby lith? And they were like, whoa, what's going on? So there was a lot of things where I just really wanted to like make it happen. So that's where a lot of the work I do kind of comes from. It's just I have an idea, and sometimes I want to bring it to life in different mediums as well. So there's one of my etchings that had it was based off of a carving that I did. I took Splash's carving class again and then slacked off because I just wanted to bug him and my friends the whole time. And I sped through a carving, and then I thought this would be a really cool print. So I did a mirror image of it, and I think it's on my website, but it's okay if it isn't. It was really exciting to be playing with all these different mediums. But yeah, I was just my heart wasn't in school anymore. It was in how I could learn in a traditional way. So I did my best to write a grant, got the grant, and it was very nerve-wracking asking Splash if he could be my formal mentor instead of me just showing up at his house all the time, being like, hey, I'm ready to make stuff. And yeah, that's the exciting part, is learning how old mentorships were done too, because I know in Japanese culture, even now, mentorship and apprenticeships are really important, and old style furniture making in Europe as well, and any sort of like trade or old craft, it's like you learn these teachings in a very specific way. And I feel like historically here, especially with any type of mentorship, you have to be really disciplined for it, which is a teaching in itself. But seeing examples of around the world, different ways of learning these crafts, and how it's also a form of adoption, but it's also teaching you about yourself and your patience. Yeah, even when I was learning weaving, Deborah loved it, but she said, okay, well, I want a blanket, a little weaving that's all white, all twill. Then you can move on to all tabby. Then you can move on to all twining and all these other steps. And I'd come back the next week already doing patterning and say, I'm trying to figure out zigzags and I don't know how yet. And there's like 3 different types of stitches you have to use for it. And I think that's why I didn't really respond to school anymore, but that's what drew me to my mentors now, because they're super patient with me and they're super fun, and they all lead a sober life as well. And that's an important part of my practice, because I feel like my artwork is more important than chaos in my life. And so I worked really hard to create this space that is sort of serene. Like my studio, I take very seriously. I don't let just anybody in my studio, because to me, it's a sacred space. That's what my elders teach me too. They say, like, light a candle when you're working. But I'm particular about candles. My dad's been a beekeeper for 35 years, so I'm like, beeswax only. And then I ran out of candles. So yeah, it was one of those things. And to learn how to focus, and not just when you're working, but also in like other parts of your mind. And so seeing the labyrinth on the ground is just making me smile, because it's like I used to walk around the playground after school to just sort of unwind, and then I draw, and it's kind of reminding me of that in different ways. Or like before I start working, I'll walk around this blueberry farm that I live on, and just sort of like, observe for a while, say hi to the birds, say hi to the blueberry bushes, and check up on them and things, go see if any berries are ready anywhere, and then go back in and get busy. Yeah, and that's something I'm really looking forward to working with everybody on this project, is finding the similarities between our like personal practices within the work that we do in our lives. It doesn't matter what kind of work it is. We all have our certain like rituals we do, whether it's like having a specific type of drink or something. Like I only want lime Gatorade. My brother was really into lime Gatorade as a kid, or something. Or like I'm gonna set 5 minutes aside for me before I get working or something. We all have something that we do, and or like a favorite show we put on. And so learning that, but also our similar practices, or something that we have in common, I think would be really strong to connect us to this mural, because that's something that is important with artwork, is that when you see yourself in something, you can really respond to it. Another sidebar, I went to the Seattle Art Museum. There's a fantastic weaving show on there right now. And I was flipping through the catalog for it, and I kept stopping at all the ones with the zigzags, because a lot of old Salish blankets have zigzags. And my friend laughed at me, because that's what she said, you respond to when you see yourself in something. And yeah, so those are things that I'm really looking forward to with this project. And thank you again for listening to my ramblings. There wasn't as much art as I expected, or maybe you expected too, but yeah, thank you again for your time. And I'm really looking forward to getting to know everybody. And yeah, thank you. I'm gonna
Thanks so much, Athena. Will you stick around and people can meet you and ask any questions that they have? going forward? Okay, so we'll move out of the formal presentation part and into the meeting together. We've got some food at the back and we can bring some more out if people are hungry. Just before we do that, reminder that we're meeting here again next week, same time if you're available. Tasha Faye Evans will be here also, and the Inlet Connect's Art Wall Ministry team will be helping with a listening and witnessing session so that Athena can be getting to know us a little bit better, our community a little bit better, find out what's important to us in terms of welcome and belonging, what would make us feel authentically welcome in a place. And then after having that dialogue and listening together, Athena will go away and make the design for the mural, and we will see ourselves in it as she has pointed out. So that's the plan. We do have mural posters with the dates on it. If you don't have one, you can pick one up as well. And not noted there, but the ceremony, feast, and blessing of our artist and our work will be taking place in the afternoon, early afternoon on Sunday, September 17th. So please mark your calendars. It'll be a very special and joyous day, and we want everyone to be here for that as well. So, all right, let's give appreciation again to Athena and then and to you as well for being here. And then please stick around and chit chat and get a chance to meet with our artist and us, and we'll go forward. So thank you very much.
Thanks to our Zoom people for joining us. We do see you, and we're really happy that you joined us tonight. Blessings.